There we go, because there are a couple people that couldn't attend, so we wanted to make sure to record it for them. And that being said, since we are recording, if you have any questions, please jump in and ask me questions. But if you're just going to be listening, then let me ask you to go ahead and mute your computer so that we don't have background noise. And also, another great way to jump in and ask a question is with the chat feature. For most people, you'll see that if you move your mouse down to the bottom, but for some people, it's up at the top. So you might want to scroll your mouse around so you can find chat, just so it's handy. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to tell you a couple basic things about the program, and then we will go ahead and move on to the live demo. And so first off, let me tell you a little bit about what we really like about the program. First off, we were able to house it in Amazon web servers. The only reason you care about this is it means it is super reliable and super secure. It's just like logging into Amazon.com with all of the encryption and the backups, all of the reasons why you trust Amazon. Those are the same reasons why we chose it to house Caseload Manager. Of course, we have a few pages of documentation on there for all of the IT folks, so they can look at all that good secure information to their heart's content. So that was the first thing that we wanted to do. The second thing was we realized, you know, there's absolutely no office that is exactly alike. So as an example, right now we're working with a few different Ombuds offices that are in academic and colleges. We're also working with some that are ICANN, for instance, the Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers. We're working with the Red Cross, with the International Monetary Fund. And you know, every group has such different needs, so we really wanted to make this customizable. In other words, I want to know that you can design the program that's right for you. So I'm trying to get my video back here and it's hiding. 1 second. Don't like not being able to see you and you can't see me. Okay, there we go. Hello. So I think that will stay popped up. Nah, it's not. Oh well. So like I said, we wanted to design a program that was customizable so that you could completely make it your own. But more than that, we wanted it to stay really simple. So we'll go look at the live demo in a moment and you'll see it's all housed in one screen. So it shouldn't be this huge learning curve. For most people, what we do is we'll schedule 3 15 to 20-minute trainings. Just a quick overview training. Next, we'll go through fine-tuning it and we'll think pretty specifically about what are the long-term reports that you need and how can we make sure that we're getting the right data in now so it's easier for you to pull your reports later. And then often we'll do a larger staff training and just talk about workflow and best practices. Okay, so that's it. After about 3 15 to 20-minute trainings, people are up and ready and you are entering data in the most consistent, streamlined way possible. And hopefully you're taking advantage of all the features. So another thing I really like about this program is that we have tried to work in as many time-saving features as we can. And we're always interested in new ideas. So if you look in the upper right here, it says hellomediate.com, and just underneath that it says feedback. And the reason it says feedback is because we really want to know what is it that would make things run faster and smoother for your office. And a lot of our development is based off of your suggestions. Okay, so we have this divided into 5 main sections: cases, activities, calendar, email, and reports. You'll probably spend most of your time using the cases center, right? Because that's where you spend your time. But we also have a calendar so that you can create an office calendar or you can create an individual calendar. But the reason why we wanted to separate that out from activities, as I'll go show you in a second, is that sometimes an activity doesn't turn into a case, right? Sometimes you just have a visitor plunk into your office, they need a little bit of advice, and then they go on their merry way. And there's no reason to turn it into a case or even to log the person's demographic information. You just need to log that it happened, that a visitor stopped by. Okay. And so as your office grows, we do have an online support center, but we also have an interactive feedback center because we've got lots of additional bells and whistles and features. What most people like to do is start out with kind of a simpler, streamlined option so they can get used to adding their cases. And then they can start thinking about stuff like automated deadline tracking or creating pie charts based off of different demographic information. So there's lots of fun stuff that you can add as you get comfortable with the basic stuff. Okay? Alrighty. So instead of looking at the sample case record, what I'm going to do is pop out to, oh, hello again. I'm going to pop out to this one. So here's an example of something that a demo model that we've been using for quite a while, meaning that it's pretty flushed out. We've got a full activity log, full case log, and so I just want to show you a system that has been in use for a while. And the reason why you might care about that is because it has a lot of additional fields. Okay, so let's open up a case here and I'll show you what I mean. So like I said, what's fun about the system is you really can make it your own. This one you can see has a lot of additional fields. Now I can assign those fields to only show up with certain cases. And so we can streamline this somewhat, or you can add in as much additional stuff as you want. You can see down here on the bottom right, it does keep track of money. And I know that for most of you, you'll probably just want to hide or delete those fields, but I'm guessing you'll still want to keep track of this running number, just the total hours that you've put into the case. And then you can look at your activities and calendar items to see what makes up those hours, okay? So let me scroll back up to the top here and give you more of a little bit more detail. Okay, so like I said, we're looking at a fully fleshed out case here, meaning that we've got a lot of information in here. We have a lot of additional fields that I've added. I've added more information about restorative justice, yes or no. What is the status of the case? You can see on the right here, we can upload documents.
So Claire,
yeah.
I can't see your screen, and I see that a couple of people are saying they can't see the screen. We're just seeing you.
Well, that's not good. Okay, well, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
Hello, hello. Oh, I've been showing you so many beautiful things here.
I know, I'm sure you were.
All right, so I'm just going to refresh on Zoom. It does look like it got hung up. Okay, how's that? It looks like it refreshed on my side. Did it refresh on your side?
Yes, it did. I had to find my unmute since it moved the screen around.
Great, thank you. All right. All of that to say I showed you a bunch of beautiful things, and you can just take my word for it. All right, so a quick summary. So again, we're looking at the live demo here, and you can see this is a fleshed out model, meaning that it's full of stuff. You've got lots of activities. Scrolling down here, we have lots of cases in here, and every office and every person in every office is able to customize this dashboard so they can really see what they care about. I know some of you track money, so I wanted to show you that you can keep track of all the money stuff here. But for a lot of you, that's not as interesting. So what you'll probably want to do when you first begin using the program is clicking Select Fields. Okay, and then you get this long list of fields. And this is based on all of the fields that you choose to add to your program. And so let's say you just don't care about money. You don't have to track that. So I'm going to remove all of the money stuff. And instead, let's add in things like, what's the status of the case? When was it opened? And how about some basic notes on the case? Okay. And then you can see we've also got lots of height, gender, ethnicity. We've got lots of good demographic information that you might want to track as well. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and update that. Refresh screen. Okay. And now, so mainly what I wanted to show you there was that you're able to customize what you see. So if you don't care about money, because who needs money, right? We don't care about money. So now you can see that these fields have updated. All right. So now I'm able to customize what information I'm looking at. Because again, the whole idea here is that this program should save you money. You should have, I'm sorry, this program should save you time. You should have the information that you want as immediately as available to you as possible, okay? So one of the first things that you want to do when you get your program is to select what fields you want to display, okay? So figure out what information you want at your fingertips. And then let me give you a quick intro to a typical case. So to do that, I'm just going to click on a case, all right? And then the case screen will pop up. And don't get slow on me again, Zoom. No, no. All right. Okay. So there it is. I was hiding. Okay. So here's our case. And like I said, very fleshed out case. I have added a lot of additional fields. Up at the top here, if there's something going on with the case, I can indicate that it needs attention or it needs attention right now. And then it highlights everything in bright red until I've paid attention to it. Okay. And 1 second. I just want to read through some of these chats. Okay, great. Thank you. So what they're asking about is what fields can be customized. And the quick answer to that, I'll go show you in a moment what your screen will look like as soon as you log in. And it will be fairly blank. It will just have these first few fields that we're seeing at the top here. All of these additional fields are ones that I've added. And it's ridiculously simple to add fields. So I'll show you that. It takes about 30 seconds to add in your own new fields. Okay. Over here on the right, I wanted to show you, here's where we'll keep basic notes on the case. I can also keep track of the status, what it's waiting on, case types. Now, just so you know, these case types have been based on the sample IOA categories. And some of you will use all of those. A lot of you will need to edit or delete some of those or add in your own subcategories. Great. Very simple to do. We just wanted to preload it with those IOA categories to get you started, okay? All right, scrolling down here, we can upload whatever documents we need for the case. We can keep track of our calendar items. So in other words, when are we actually having a face-to-face meeting or a scheduled phone call with a visitor? All right. And then we like to keep track of our activities, like how long did we spend on the phone, how long did we spend working on the case, just so that you can keep track in the long run of how much time is it taking you to resolve a case. And then we can start to break that down a little bit more by, are there certain types of cases that are taking more time? And are we seeing that that's true, that's indicative of a trend within a certain department or a certain, I don't know, income level, gender, who knows? But you can start to break that down and track different trends based on time. Okay. Scrolling down here is the contact section. Let me just click on our student. And of course, you can set up whatever people types you want. I think some of you are working at academic institutions. And so for some of you, student and faculty makes sense. But I know a lot of you are at a more corporate office. And so for those of you, it makes more sense to not identify students and instead identify visitors, claimants, grievance, things like that. Okay. So back to our lovely student, John Davis. So here you can see I have some basic information about John, his email. Oops, come back, John, come back. There you go. His email, his gender, etc. Here are a bunch of additional fields that I have added that are useful for me in my office. His ethnicity, income, if he's a minor, etc. Again, you can add in whatever fields you want. Okay, so if these make sense for you, fantastic. If not, get rid of what you don't need and add in what you do. I want to make sure that you are tracking the best information for your office. But here's where it gets really fun. So if you decide, and again, this is a feature that you can add on or you can take away. If you decide that at the close of the case, you want to get rid of all of the identifying information, then you can do that. That's an option. And it might be that you want to keep track of that information for certain people, but not for others. Here's an example. Let's say you have an expert who's just coming in as a consultant on a case, and you want to keep track of their name, their phone number, their email, and so on. Great. Then you can tell Caseload Manager to save that information for that type of a person. But for every student, you probably want to tell Caseload Manager to automatically delete anything that's identifying as soon as the case is closed, okay? So as soon as I hit close on this case, it's going to delete name, let's see, name, company, address, email, phone number, right? Because that's all the identifying stuff. But then it's going to save all the rest of this. So I can still track trends based on gender, ethnicity, education, income, and all of that good stuff. Okay, isn't that fun? I like that feature. So it still allows you to track whatever trends you need, create your reports, run your data without being afraid that you are accidentally saving confidential information. And I've been to enough conferences now that I'm pretty sure I know the next question you're going to ask. Is it really deleted, Claire? And the answer is not immediately. Simply because our system does have so many backups, you're right. It does take a little while for that information to completely trickle off of the servers, but it does. So you're right. And I kind of think that that's okay, because initially, let's say you closed a case and you didn't mean to. Then you can give us a call, we can scramble back through the data, and we can find that data within the first couple of days if you need us to. But after that, sorry, the data is all gone. Okay, so that is one of the first fun Ombuds features I wanted to tell you about, is the ability to auto-delete identifying information. Okay, so again, we're looking at a fully fleshed out case here, but let's hop out of here. I want to show you what Caseload Manager will look like when you log in. Totally different, right? Mind blown. So this is a very blank slate. And what I usually ask people to do when they first log on, like I said, is first come down here to select fields, down here in the bottom right, and choose what you want to see. Okay, so select the fields that you want to show up here on your dashboard. The next thing I ask them to do is to come through settings and just look at some of these, because some of them will make sense for you and some of them won't. Here's an example. Person types. Okay, so right now we have two types, participant and attorney. I'm guessing that doesn't really apply to a lot of you, so let's change it. Instead of participant, what should we call them? Visitor, student, something like that. Okay, let's assume that we're working with an academic office, so we'll call them a student. Okay, update. And instead of attorney, let's say faculty. And what's another common type of person that you work with?
Well, in academic, you could add staff.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. And you see under here where it says sort order, mainly that's saying, hey, what order do you want me to sort this in? If you keep it blank, it will just automatically be alphabetical. But sometimes people want their selection that they work with most often to stay at the top, okay? And then something like other to stay down at the bottom. So just so you know, so you do have the ability to control what order something shows up in. You can see I made staff be 30. So it's keeping them down at the bottom. I'm assuming typically when people come into my office, they're going to be a student. So that's why I kept them up at the top. Okay, so there you saw it. It took, what, 30 seconds, a minute to update person types. So it doesn't take very much time to go through here and update all of these different settings. I mentioned, I'm going to click on case types. As I mentioned, these are based on the IOA categories. There are a lot of categories. So if it doesn't apply to you, what's an example here? Here we go. Intellectual property rights. Let's say you know that would never apply in your office. All that you need to do is click delete, okay? And then it's gone. Or let's say that you need to break these out a little bit more. So for instance, under retirement and pension, you might want to add a couple additional categories. For instance, severance package, benefits, COBRA benefit, things like that. Okay, so that's fine. You can add on whatever additional subcategories you need, but then if you want, you can count them all as retirement and pension, or you could go up another level and see how many are part of compensation and benefits, okay? So again, we've just added this here as hopefully as a help for you, but please come in and add in whatever subcategories you need. Okay. So far we've looked at some of the menus that we have created, right? Referral sources, case types, stuff like that. And that's all well and good, right? It's fun to look at what somebody else has done. But what's really fun is doing it yourself. So that's the bottom half of the menu here. Custom case fields, custom party fields. In other words, you get to create it your own. You can create a field that will show up in case or in party. Okay, so here are some of the other ones that I have added. Date of first response, case type, involved parties, complaint, and so on. Let's add in something like grad student, okay? And so then we can choose how we want to respond to this. Do you want to type in text and say, yes, well, sort of, but he's also, okay? You could do that. Or to make it really simple, you might want to do something like a pull down box, right? That says, I want to be able to pull it down, like what we're looking at right now, and be able to select from some pre-populated answers. So I want to say pull down box. I'll give myself 3 choices here. Then on this next screen, it says, okay, Claire, you told me that there were 3 choices. What are those? So I'll scroll down to the bottom. My choices are no. Let's have that one be the default. There we go. Yes, and then maybe not applicable. Right, because if it's just a staff dispute, then it doesn't really matter if it doesn't make sense to answer that question. Okay, so we'll close here. All right, so I've just added a new field, and that's going to show up in my case. So how do you actually start a case? Well, typically, I'm assuming you'll start a case when someone walks into your office. Okay, so to me, I would call that an activity. See on the upper right there in the gray where it says add activity? So I'm going to click that, and then a new activity window pops open. And I use this to keep track of everything. So phone calls, emails, all that good stuff. And I know I'm sounding like a broken record now, but again, this is one of those menus that you want to take a couple of minutes and make it your own. So right now I'll click office visit by visitor, but again, make it your own. So get rid of anything that doesn't apply to you and add in your own stuff, okay? Like I said, you'll probably want to delete some of this payment information. Staff will say it's the Ombuds. Referred by, I would assume that would probably be self, right? I don't know, maybe management referred them. Action taken. So now this is where it gets interesting. Let's say, I'm going to say that I'm opening a case, and we'll say it's an investigation into a grade dispute. And I can tell this is going to turn into a case, so I'll go ahead and start keeping track of some information about this person. On the right here, I'm going to schedule a follow-up call for tomorrow. Okay, pretty basic stuff. One of those other fun menus that you will get to customize. And I will just say, call faculty about grade. But I forget stuff all the time. So I want to make sure to send myself a reminder. I'll go ahead and send that as soon as I hit save. But then I also want a reminder going out beforehand. And this will also place it on my calendar and on the office calendar. Again, you can change those defaults if you want to. And now this is another fun Ombuds feature that I like. Okay, you see those two buttons down there? The button on the right just says save. Why? Because sometimes you don't want to start a new case, right? Let's say Jane Doe walks into your office and is upset about something. But that's it. They just need a few minutes to talk. Or you think it's more appropriate to refer them out to therapy or to HR or somewhere else, okay? That's fantastic. So now you can still make a note. You can indicate who you referred them out to. So at the end of the year, you can still say how many visitors stopped by and what was the result of that conversation. But it's not actually turning into a case. So you don't think that there will be any further conversation with this person. Fine. So we'll hit save and that will make note of it. But in this instance, today, I can tell that this conversation with Jane Doe is going to need more interactions. We'll probably schedule a few calendar visits. I might need to upload a few documents. So I'm going to click this button on the left that says save and start new case. Okay? So it's giving me a little confirmation. Thank you so much. So now, ta-da! 3 things have happened. There's my activity on the upper right. There's my calendar item for tomorrow. And I have now created this new case down in the bottom. Okay? So let's go ahead and click on the case and scoot this over. Okay? What did I want to show you? There we go. So down at the bottom here, there's our fun new field where I asked if this was a grad student or not. My default was no, but I'm going to change this to yes because I know that Jane Doe is a grad student. Okay? And so now here's where I can really begin working on this case. For instance, up at the right here, what's the status of this? I'll say it's currently in process. What is it waiting for? Well, it's waiting for Ombuds to actually do her job. So Ombuds has to call faculty, determine what to do next. I'll select my case type. Again, this is a really long list. Where is it? Where is it? I know I saw grade dispute. I just lost it. Okay, for now we're going to call it bullying. Okay, she was really upset about her grade dispute and she started a whole mob to attack the faculty. It was horrible. Okay, so now you can see it's going to be keeping track of my calendar items, keeping track of my activities. As I start to put time into this case, it will keep track of my time here, which is really fun. Like I said, that's fun to be able to show off beautiful pie charts and bar graphs showing how much time you have put into different types of cases. It's great. On the left here, so I've already talked about, I have my Jane Doe, and it will delete any identifying information that I need to. But what we haven't talked about is access to this case, okay? As soon as I assign this case to someone, that means that no one else in your office even knows it exists. Here's why that's important. Let's say that you have 4 ombuds, right? You have an assistant ombuds, probably a couple interns, people like that, and you want to know that your visitor's information is completely confidential, right? So as soon as this case is restricted to one person, let's say the associate ombuds is working on this case, no one else in this office will have access to it unless you give them that access. Or maybe you'll give people access to do a few things, like maybe you want to give them access to look at the status and what it's waiting for, but you don't want to give them any access to the confidential information, okay? Or maybe you want to give them access to just see the status of the case, but not be able to edit anything or export any information out or delete anything, okay? So I know, I'm getting into the weeds a little bit here, but I really want you to know we have tried to make this as customizable as possible. Because let's face it, if we say that one of our basic tenets is confidentiality, then we have to really practice what we preach, right? So it should mean that we can protect it from any potential hackers and evildoers out there, but we should also be able to keep that information confidential internally, right? So we want to make sure that only the right people in our office have access to the right information. Okay. So, ta-da, so there we go. We're working the case. Life is good. And let me close out of here. Okay. So now we can start to do things like run reports on these cases, which is always fun. I only have one case in here now, so it's not going to be the most impressive report. Sorry. So first, obviously, I'm going to enter in the report criteria. You'll probably be running this quarterly or annually. Include supporting links, a big way of saying, hey, when I see the data, do I want to be able to click on it and then get a summary of where that data came from? This is one of my other favorite features. I love it because sometimes you get an outlier, right, that says, hey, there was a bullying case. And I think, gosh, I don't remember doing a bullying case. But then I can click on it and remember, oh, yeah, it was that Jane Doe again. Okay. So I love being able to dig down. And I think that's what's so much fun about having an online integrated system is that it really gives you that capability. Okay. And so now this is just saying, hey, what are some of the fields you want to include in this report? And obviously this is based off of the fields I've created. Let's say case status. Okay, that's a good one. And again, this is just one of many sample reports. So, so you want to be able to have a report that works for your office. But again, if there isn't something quite right here, so if you need something to be tweaked a little bit, then hey, we're here. We have really talented programmers. So just let us know. And what a lot of our clients do is they work with the system for a couple of months. They become really familiar with it. And then they'll let us know if there are additional reports that they would like to have created, or if there's just something little that they want tweaked. And it could be something small. For instance, we had somebody that didn't like that color blue up at the top. That's fine. I like it, but they didn't like it. And so we changed it to a purple, right? It could be something silly, or it could be something pretty major where you need to have different integrated reports show up. That's fine. I know, I keep talking, sorry. So, all right, so as an example, so this is just showing us what are some of the new cases, what were those referral sources, and this is just showing us who referred the case in. I know that for some reports, you'll probably be more interested in where those cases or visitors were referred to. Okay, I get that. I told you that these were hyperlinked, so see there's a little number here, that number 1. So when I click on it, then I can see, oh, right, here's where that case came from. And then, of course, I could click on it again, and it would show me even more details about the case. So this is showing me here all of my case types, and I have this cross-tabbed by what the current status is of those cases. Like I said, you can change what those headers are. All right, and anything more I want to show you on this one? I don't think so. Let's see. Oh, okay. So somebody's asking about this one. See at the bottom there where it's grayed out, that deadlines field. So we have a lot of additional features that you can add on as you choose to. Some of our bigger programs have chosen to add those on right in the beginning. That's fine. But some people like to wait and decide if they really need it or if it would just be a distraction. Deadlines is an example of that. Some other examples are work groups, surveys, charging by activities. Mainly, so surveys, okay, that's pretty obvious, right? Mainly it means that you can create forms and surveys that you can send to people. Again, probably using this less often in the academic world. I suppose you could send it to your interns or maybe a generic survey to staff, but it's typically a pre and post engagement survey or an evaluation survey, just trying to see how everything is going, what could be improved. Some people send these out to gather participant information. Some people have created a public survey. ICANN is a good example of that. They created a public survey or a public form that they put on their website, and then the public can come and fill out their information. Hey, here's what's going on in my life. Here's the issue at hand. And then this is where it gets really fun. That information that's entered online, the Ombuds looks at it and we like to have that human intervention, right, to make sure that it's not a robot. And so the Ombuds looks at it and approves it, and then ping, it enters into your case and populates with case information and participant information. So that's fun, right? It saves you an extra step. I love that. I love time-saving stuff because, we need more time to drink our coffee, right? That's the good stuff. Okay, so surveys, right? We know what surveys are. And then we have these fun reports that are created off of surveys where you can start to get all of your good percentages and comparisons. That's great. Deadlines, I see this being used more in the foreclosure world, but I know that there are some Ombuds offices that like these. The idea behind deadlines is you get to set up a start event and an end event and then decide what happens. Here's an example. Let's say that somebody has 30 days from when the case is opened to reply. And if they don't reply, then maybe they're no longer eligible for services or you have to refer them out to someone else. So you'd say, okay, first event is they contact our office. Within 30 days, they need to reply back to us. So then you can decide what's going to happen. Does it mean that we send them an email saying, hey, careful, you're approaching your deadline? Or do I, as the Ombuds, want to know that they're approaching their deadline? Do I want to give them a call? Do I only want to know after they've missed their deadline? I don't know. There are so many different options, but you can decide what works for your office. Do you want to be contacted, or do you just want the person's name to show up in bright red blinking lights so you know that there's an issue with them the next time they call? Okay, you've got lots of choices here. Too many choices, probably. Now I've just overwhelmed you. The other one I wanted to show you over here under work groups. There we go. So with work groups, mainly this is another choice for your office. You can add it on or not. It simply helps you to categorize your cases. So let's say you have, how about this? You might have one work group that's just for students and one that's just for staff. And then you can look at all of your cases involving just students, and you might have different fields that you want to show up. Okay, remember how we just added grad student down there? That should probably just show up in a student work group. And so you would remove that field from your staff work group. Here's why you care about that. You can really streamline what you're looking at, okay? So you don't want to have a bunch of irrelevant fields showing up in your case screen, because then eventually you become blind to it and start skipping over it, right? And that takes too much time. So we're trying to streamline these in as many different ways as we can. Okay, so so the main thing I wanted to end with here is just by saying, A, system is super secure. If you have any questions about it, I am happy to send you all the documentation. Mainly super secure, super reliable. Second, very customizable. Okay, it is designed for an ombuds office. We have added features to help support your office. We are always interested in what additional features would help you, and and we have friendly faces here that are trying to help you design a system that will support your office as much as possible. Third, this is really designed to help support you and have automated deadlines that go out, have automated emails that go out, have things automatically added to your calendar, because it should be saving you time. I have seen a lot of Ombuds systems come out over the last few years, and the main feedback that I have been hearing about them is that it just takes up too much time. It's more of a hindrance or an obstacle. And that's the last thing that we want, right? This should be a benefit to your life. And so we're trying to design something that really does help you out, okay? So it's secure, it is customizable, you design what you want for your office, and this really should be a support for you. Whenever you have questions about it, you can always give us a call, because this is what we do. We just sit here all day and we help offices like yours to think through their best workflow, to think through how can we add data to get the reports that you need at the end of the year, okay? I'm not seeing any additional questions. Let me just double check on that one.
Claire, a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
When you did the report, it looked like what you got was kind of a report screen that broke it down into percentages. And that is not directly customizable by the user, as I understand it. The user needs to work with you all to develop those customized elements for reporting. Is that the case?
Right.
Okay.
So the reports that we're looking at now, these are hard-coded reports. You can customize the time frame and some of the fields that show up, but the parameters, the format, you're right, that is hard-coded. So
okay, all right.
You can export it yourself, which is really easy to do. Again, you just select what fields you need, and then you can export it, and that can plunk into Microsoft Word or Excel. Or, again, you could just contact us to create another report for you that will then show up in this list, okay?
And one other question on reports, is there any capacity to do graphs and charts out of the reporting capability?
So,
okay, so I see.
That was a little far back. Whoops. All right. Let's make this a little bigger.
Okay.
So yeah, this one obviously isn't the Ombuds version. This is mine because it has more cases.
Right.
Yeah, it just shows you a sample graph.
Yeah, okay. All right, great. Thanks.
Yeah. I saw another couple questions. One second. So somebody's asking about if there is a desktop or non-cloud option. And the answer is no, that we really made the decision that we wanted everything to be in the cloud. Some of the benefits of that are that then you can log in from anywhere, right? So you can be working at home. I know we're trying not to work from home, but everybody does. So you can work on this at home. You can work on this when you are let's say you're going to meet with someone, then you can just pull up the information that you need on your phone. Or, and this is what I really like, is that as soon as you enter information, that it then updates for everyone else in the office. So as soon as I update a phone number, I know that everyone else in the office has it updated. And everyone is trying to steal information nowadays. So it is just as likely that someone is going to come into your office and try to steal your paper files, or you hear about somebody left their laptop in the back of their computer and somebody hacked in and stole it. Okay, but nowadays the main way that people are trying to steal information is online, and that's one of the reasons why we chose the most secure option out there. Simply because we feel like this is the best way to, sorry, I had to fix this typo, it's driving me nuts. Okay, you feel much better now. All right, simply because we feel like this is the most secure way to keep track of your data. I feel like it's more secure now than keeping track of a paper file or an internal system. So, and there are a lot of red flags that we start to see. So if we start to see any unusual activity, or if somebody stays logged in for too long, or let's say that you left your username and password out and somebody else got it and they try to log in, then we get instant red flags. It goes into lockdown, and we contact you to make sure it really is you, everything's okay, and then we give you access again. And clearly, we can talk through some of these red flags. Some people want a little bit more lax, and if it's a corporation like ICANN, they want to have utmost security, so they have all the red flags they can think of, mainly just to make sure that your information is as secure as possible. We have some systems that automatically time out after 10 minutes in case you forgot to sign out and you went to get a cup of coffee and you stayed chatting too long. Then the system will automatically sign you out, okay? So we do have a lot of options to keep track of your information. I know it's online and it is scary, but I do think that now that is the most secure place to be. To delete. Sure. So somebody is asking for a demo. Wait, which one was my Ombuds one? There we go. Somebody's asking for a demo of the auto delete information, the auto delete feature. Okay, so let's go back to our Jane Doe. I'm going to add in a little bit more information about her. Jane Doe Co., her address, email, phone. Okay, so what you see here is that I've added her identifying information, but then I also added her status because that is demographic information I want to keep, okay? So I just wanted to point out the difference there, because I have set my system up so that it will auto delete only the identifying information, but not the demographic, okay? So we just set that up, and now let's close out of here. So in my global settings, so I'm just about to change this, but I just want you to see, when you first sign on, the default is that it's not set up. It's not going to remove identifying information. As soon as I change this, it is going to update, and I will select what people type. So I'm going to select that it will change for, that it will auto delete student information. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a second. I'm not going away. And the reason why I want to stop sharing is because I'm doing some magic in the background. where I'm going in to change my settings. Okay, and I want to make sure that that information isn't shared online. 1 second, because I am planning on recording this and sending it to a bunch of people. Sorry, I'm not explaining this well. I'm trying to think and type at the same time. All right, this one is taking too long. Change global settings. I have to log back in now as an administrator. And logging in as a super user. Ta-da! Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you what I see now. Share. Okay. So now I'm logged in as a super user. Like I said, we have a lot of different access levels. And now that I'm a super user, which is what I'm assuming most of you would be, because you would be the administrator of your office. Okay, so now it's giving me the option to change some stuff. So here it says, should I remove identifying participant details? And I want to say yes. And I will select that, let's say for student and for faculty. As I mentioned, we also have the option to add on these additional features. Do I want to use surveys? Do I want to use deadlines? Do I want to import previous cases? All this good stuff. Okay, so this is when you log in as an administrator, this is how you can make some of the more significant changes. Okay, so I hit update. Ta-da! Okay, we'll close out of here. Give this a second to refresh. That was our coffee break. Okay, so here's Jane Doe. Here's all of Jane Doe's information. I am now going to update the case. We'll close it. Let's say it actually started yesterday. Okay, close it here. Update case. Okay. Yes, I know. Any identifying student and faculty information will be removed. This means that Jane Doe and Jane Doe's information will be overwritten. Please confirm. Yes, this is my desire. Okay. All right, so there you can see it has now changed to a randomly group of generated letters and numbers. All the identifying information has been removed. The only thing that remained was the demographic information that I wanted to keep. So for here, this is first time in college. I'm assuming that you'll have more demographic information, gender, ethnicity, income, height, hair color, I don't know. Okay, so sorry that was such a long demonstration. I just hadn't had it set up yet. So anyway, now that it's all set up, it will just automatically do this, okay? As soon as you close a case, it's just going to automatically change this information to random stuff up at the top, and then it will keep your demo stuff at the bottom. Yay, okay, you're welcome. So thank you everyone, and if you have additional questions, please let me know. My plan was that for those of you who signed up for the webinar, I was just going to send you a login information so that you have access. Let's close out of here. So that you have access to a free demo. You'll have access to this for about a month, I think. And then if it's helpful, we could set up like a 10-minute screen share so that I could answer some specific questions about your office. Oh yes, somebody's asking about cost, right. Let's go look at cost. Easiest way for me to do that is just to click on support. Okay. There we go. So this is the support center. And let me just point this out because I'm very proud of this. We have created video tutorials for just about all of these different options. So as an example, if you're really interested in exporting information, then we have long video tutorials that shows you how to export information into Microsoft Word or Excel, or just export the referral sources, or exporting to Google Calendar. Okay, so we've created help pages and then screenshots and then videos of all of these. And so finally getting around to cost. Sorry, I just keep getting distracted. All right. And so we have different starting prices. I think for most of you, your smaller offices, so there'd just be the smaller startup fee, right? Yeah. These larger numbers, that's more for like Red Cross or International Monetary Fund, like the large international groups. And then the maintenance price is based on how many cases you think that you'll have per year, okay? So, and again, that's not visitors, it's not that people just stop by to your office and you refer them out. This is like a full-fledged, we're going to have lots of calendar sessions type of a case. So if you're in this first bracket of, let's say maybe 100 cases a year, then your ongoing price would be $39 a month or $390 a year, okay? Yeah, again, if you have any questions, please let me know, and expect to see an email from me shortly that gives you some login information so that you can then log in and create your own system. So that's it. Thank you, everyone, very much. Pleasure
Thank you,
to
Claire.
meet all of you. Thank you. I think that was Bruce. Thank you. And I will talk to you all later.